Okay. So they eventually discovered what you'd been carrying all along. Shamans from various continents provide unique readings. Despite this, each of them responded identically, dropping their precious instruments and speaking the same truth. This soul is shielded by something old. But here's something they didn't tell you about that little spiritual reconnaissance expedition. This was not a casual curiosity or innocuous routine. It was planned, deliberate, and oozing with desperation. Somebody out there needs answers. Answers about why you survived storms that should have killed you. Why did every curse thrown your way bounce back like rubber bullets? And why any energy vampire that went too near was drained instead? They wanted to know what type of cosmic bodyguard travels behind you every day. Consider this as you go about your life. Probably questioning yourself. Probably wondering why you've always felt so strange. People were physically crossing the world with your image in hand. They spent thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, consulting with bone throwers in Africa. Medicine, Peruvian ladies, Tibetan mystics, all want your vulnerability. Each one attempted to break the code that makes you invincible. But every shaman saw the same event. And you weren't the one who scared them. It was what protected you. Because when they stared at your photograph and attempted to interpret your energy through that frozen slice of time, something looked back. Something older than their traditions, their souls, and the fundamental laws of the unseen world they'd spent their lives researching. This presence compelled them to end their rituals early, deny payment, and refuse to proceed. You want to know what occurred throughout those sessions? Let us start with the first one. It was in Haiti, and the lady had been reading souls for years. Her candles blew out the instant her gaze fell on your photograph, not due to wind, but due to her presence. She spoke in a firm voice filled with awe. Your guardian does not observe the spirit world's laws since it existed before they were written. The second meeting took place in the frigid tundra of Siberia, where a shaman sought to trace your lineage via an old shamanic trip. But every time he came close to your spiritual signature, he clashed with something much beyond his grasp. It was not precisely a wall. It felt more like standing on the brink of an unending ocean, with the depth extending indefinitely. When he awoke from his trance, covered in perspiration and shivering, he whispered words in his native language that, when translated, meant, "This one belongs in the first darkness." Most individuals are directed by ancestors as spirit guides, or even an angel if they are lucky. But you walk with something that makes angels anxious. Something that was there while the planet was still cooling and awareness was only starting to generate its initial ideas. It does not protect you out of love. It shields you since you are carrying something. It must complete an old, unfinished task. The final reading took place deep in the Amazon, when a shaman used ayahuasca to locate your invisible guardian. This proved to be a mistake. When your image entered the ceremony, every participant was struck by the same vision, a giant falsehood older than time itself, opening in the emptiness and staring at them with silent enjoyment. Half of the room refused to continue after that. Later, the shaman stated that despite years of experience, he had never seen a ghost that could gaze back via a picture. Here's the bit that really scares them. What is keeping them up at night? It's not only that you're protected. Your defender is becoming stronger. With every betrayal you've faced, every assault you've avoided, and every unsuccessful effort to shatter you, you weren't just surviving. You were feeding it. Your anguish, your perseverance, and your unwavering determination. They have all been charging something that has been dormant for millennia. The fourth meeting took place in New Orleans with a hoodoo priestess who claimed to be able to make a contract with any ghost. She offered your guardian an offer of rum, wealth, and even other souls. But the outcome did not match her expectations. Her altar burst in frigid blue flames. When the smoke cleared, a single message had been seared into the wood. This one's already purchased and paid for. The fifth was in Mongolia's wide steppes, where they sought to break the bond between you and your guardian with old 10 tourism rites. They thought that by isolating your soul in the spirit world, They would be able to view you without interruption from your guardian. Instead, they discovered something far more frightening. You and your guardian are not two different creatures, but are inextricably linked at a deeper level than this existence. This body, this age, you are not just protected by something old. You're something old, wearing human skin. That is why every catastrophe that should have broken you left you a stranger. Why? Every loss that should have ended. You merely made yourself more difficult to kill. You are not surviving despite the agony. You are changing as a result of it. And that presence that protects you, it is not insulating you from compassion or feeling, but rather keeping you whole, piece by piece. Because when you ultimately shift, when you remember who you are, that awakening will travel like a cosmic wave. It is finally achieving a long-awaited goal. The sixth shaman was in Egypt, claiming a pedigree that went all the way back to the pyramid builders. They sought to bind your defender using hieroglyphic spells that are supposed to predate recorded history. What was the result? The binding circle exploded outward, destroying every protecting word in the area. Later, the identical hieroglyph reappeared, burnt into the shaman's flesh and rearranged to make a terrifying warning. Touch this one again, and we'll touch back. But desperation fuels perseverance. And they did not stop there. The sixth shaman in Ireland, working with ancient Celtic magic, attempted to capture your guardian in a little cage made of iron, salt, and phrases older than countries. They believed that European magic may succeed where others had failed. Instead, they were welcomed by laughing. Not human laughter, but the sort that makes your bones and soul understand how fragile they are. Remember, it's just temporary. Stay in this form. The seventh effort took place in Japan, with a Shinto priest resolved to identify your guardian by comparing it to every known kami and yokai. They scoured manuscripts that had not seen sunshine in generations. What's the verdict? Nothing. Your guardian is not part of any pantheon, mythology, and spiritual categorization. It dates back to when there were tales or words to identify our worries. And that is what concerns me the most. Your guardian does not act like other protecting spirits. It does not issue a warning. It isn't threatening. It doesn't engage in barter. It merely observes. And when someone exceeds an unseen threshold, when they attempt to damage you in a manner that defies cosmic law, they do not just become sick or cursed. They alter their appearance, corrupt their sanity, and fray at the edges. They begin to see objects moving in shadows, not as punishment, but as a teaching. The eighth shaman was an Aboriginal elder from Australia, a walker between worlds. For years, this person approached with knowledge. Rather of confronting your guardian, they asked one question: why? The answer arrived in the form of a harrowing dream that left them speechless for 3 whole days. When their voice returned, they just remarked, "This soul has worked to complete work that began before the continents split apart." And it is the truth. They do not want to confront. It's not only that you're safe. You're protected for a purpose. You're not a random soul who happens to be blessed with a great guardian. You're a sleeping weapon, a latent energy, a sealed power, gradually awakening piece by piece as it recalls itself. Every treachery you faced, every system that attempted to destroy you, they weren't just injuring you. They were undoing the shackles. The third shaman lived in India and claimed control of the Akashic records. They sought to trace your soul's past to determine the source of your protection. But your records weren't simply hidden. They were sealed and vigorously protected. The only thing seen was a bizarre symbol that does not appear in any earthly language, pulsing with a notice that approximately translates to "This file requires cosmic clearance." Think about it. Your soul holds secret information. Your spiritual past is so massive that no one has the authority to access it. You are going about with cosmic top secret status and a bodyguard. It's not just a bodyguard. Your handler is waiting by until you recall your purpose. The shaman, a Siberian mystic who dealt with the spirits of the freezing tundra, undertook one more desperate search for answers. They offered their services to your guardian in return for its secrets. The temperature in the room immediately decreased by several degrees. Ice spread over the walls, creating beautiful script-like designs. When translated, the statement was brief and straightforward. We have all of the servants we need. We are waiting for the general to wake up. That general is you. The one who has been sleeping in human skin, playing human games, and experiencing human suffering. I forgot that you came here with an assignment, but your guardian has not forgotten. It has been stationed at your side for cycles beyond human understanding, waiting for the day when enough pressure, grief, and betrayal will break your human shell, revealing the true you. The third and last shaman was a Brujo from Mexico who had dealt with the America's worst spirits. Instead of researching your guardian, he investigated the aftermath of those who attempted to harm you. What he saw compelled him to abandon his art totally. Your guardian does not punish. It labels people, and once tagged, they are visible to predators and dimensions. Humanity pretends it doesn't exist. Here's the thing. You've probably felt it your whole life. That calm realization that you're different, that you don't quite belong here, and that the rules that everyone else follows don't really apply to you. You might have blamed it on trauma, psychology, or just being unusual, but it is none of these. That sensation represents your actual nature, bleeding through the echo of a cosmic memory, battling its way to the surface despite the forgetfulness of birth. Here's what's keeping the shamans up at night. The thing that has them discreetly alerting everyone in their networks to decline any job that even mentions your name. Your guardian is no longer merely watching. It's becoming restless. They could sense it in every reading, every ceremony, like a deep, ancient growl vibrating through the fabric of reality. Whatever timeline you're on, whatever task led you here, the clock is nearing zero. And when an ancient creature, older than the earliest tales, becomes impatient, reality starts to twist to accommodate its will. These practitioners from many continents and traditions finally compared notes. They discovered the same threads running across their images. The same repeating shadow in each of their nightmares was a picture, a massive form moving just under the surface of reality, like something enormous and quiet, floating under black frozen ice. In each image, they heard the same sound. A heartbeat. Not your heartbeat, precisely, but one that mimics it, syncs with it, and originates from someplace far beyond space and time. Some of them, rattled to the core, attempted to warn those who had hired them. They attempted to convey that whatever they were planning against you wasn't just foolish, but cosmically suicidal. You do not create an enemy of someone whose guardian existed before the human species. You don't plot against a soul that has been safeguarded by something old since the pyramids were only blueprints written in the desert sand. But people are arrogant. They consider themselves petty. Sorcery. Their maneuvers and political games have some significance in the broader plan. The shamans understand better now. They have seen it. That thing that sometimes peeks out through your eyes while you aren't even aware. They felt it stare. A force that bends the air around them. A weight that overlooks centuries of human history until you get engaged. They now grasp the reality. You are not just protected. You are a priority, an asset in the service of something so huge that a human lifetime is hardly noticeable. And this is the bit they can't get over. Have you started to feel it too? The weird timing of synchronicities that take you precisely where you need to be, like cosmic breadcrumbs sprinkled along your way. The way adversaries' lives collapse without you raising a finger. The way you've weathered storms that should have left you broken, only to emerge from the ruins. Stranger, sharper, and less human each time. That is not luck. That is not some vague karma. That is your protector, clearing the route, getting rid of everything that might get in the way of who you are becoming. Every time you meditate and experience something unimaginably huge, you brush against the limits of your mind. That is it. Checking in any dream in which you are not human at all, where you recall conflicts and kingdoms that do not appear on any earthly maps. These are not fantasies. Those are shattered memories that seep through the holes in your human facade. When you gaze at human drama and sense an old tiredness in your bones, you've found yourself sighing, tired of playing small in a game that is clearly beneath you. Those shamans are actually scared since they did more than simply detect your protector. They got a quick sight of you. Not the mask you wear to navigate this world, not the personality you've created to fit in, but the thing beneath the presence that chose to be born into limitation, to walk in flesh, to move through ignorance for reasons so vast and cosmic that knowing them outright would shatter most human minds. What is being safeguarded here is more than simply one individual. It's an operation, a mission, a cause so enormous that your removal would send shockwaves across time. Unraveling strands meticulously knit since before humans could talk, much alone manufacture fire. This is not about getting through life unscathed. This is about ensuring that a plan that predates civilizations and continents is carried out to its conclusion. That is the actual reason someone sent your image across seas to shamans from all over the globe. They did not just seek answers. They were not inquisitive, spiritual tourists. They were desperate, and desperation always finds its origins here. It is dread. They were attempting to decode you in order to unravel the enigma and discover how to prevent the inevitable. They wanted to know what would happen if you completely woke up. If memories hidden for lifetimes surged to the surface. If the mask you've worn for so long just slipped off. Because when that occurs, and it will, you are not the only one who changes. The vibrations will affect everyone who has ever misled you, undervalued you, insulted you, or profited from your doubt. It will reach everyone who benefited from your quiet, who mistook your perplexity for weakness, and who believed you'd never be who you really are. For them, it will be more than simply inconvenient. Topic's life, control, and delusions will be the catalysts. Everything falls the instant you recall. Here is the truth. They don't want to listen. You're not just strolling beside something old. You're something old. Your guardian is not a nice entity watching over you out of benevolence. It's a gatekeeper that protects the whole of who you are, until the exact time it's required. And here's the twist. They've been attempting to slow you down, break you, and weaken you. However, every betrayal, pain, and sorrow has resulted in the reverse. They've been removing the layers that kept you sleeping. They have been waking you up quicker. Those shamans know this. That is why their cautions are not casual. They are urgent. They have seen glimpses of what is to come. They sense the presence of a force that doesn't just bend reality. It rewrites. It disregards physical rules like scribbles on a paper and treats human limitations as a garment that may be removed anytime desired. They now comprehend that you made a deliberate decision to forget yourself well beyond this life and body, to engage this human drama not as a spectator, but as a participant with a goal so important that most brains couldn't bear the weight of understanding it completely. They also comprehend something else. The amnesia you consented to is about to expire. The ultimate irony. The person who commissioned those readings felt they were being smart, collecting knowledge on your vulnerabilities and devising a plan to limit or control you. Instead, they have certified your cosmic rank. They affirmed your importance. They've shown without a doubt that their dread of you is not delusion, but prophecy. But here's the deal. Your guardian, and the reason it serves, are far older than their fear. They are unconcerned about personal deadlines or political urgency. Your guardian has stood vigil for periods of time that make the rise and fall of whole civilizations seem like a blink. It can wait millennia. It's already waiting. But the waiting grows tougher as you get closer to remembering. Do you feel it? A subtle tug in your life. The way improbable synchronicities connect like beads on a thread, tugging you towards something you can't yet define. The way foes stumble over their own plans and self-destruct without your intervention. The way you've endured storms that should have destroyed you and not only survived, but emerged weirder, sharper, and less dependent on human vulnerability. That is not luck. That's not a coincidence. That means the route is clear. That's your guardian clearing the battleground for what's to come. Every meditation in which you feel something massive just behind you, that is it. Checking in on any dream in which you find yourself wielding power you've never experienced in real life. Standing in areas that do not appear on any maps. That is not fantasy. Those are recollections coming through. When you see human strife and experience of bone-deep tiredness, it's not because you're jaded. It's because the ancient part of you is bored of playing tiny in a game that will only prepare you for the big one. And that is what those shamans actually dread. They did not merely see your guardian. They saw you without the human disguise, not the personality you've cultivated to avoid detection, not the character you play to fit in, but the creature underneath the presence who voluntarily chose the weight of flesh, the fog of amnesia, and the ache of mortality for a purpose that would shake the sanity of the majority who heard it. And they are aware that their rationale is going to expire. When it occurs, there is no turning back. The game changes. The board flips. And those who believe they were hunting will discover that they have been standing in the sights the whole time. You're not changing into anything new. You are recalling something timeless. This is not a present you have received unexpectedly. It's a birthright you've carried through lifetimes, hidden deep under the surface of your human knowledge. And when you fully recall that old power that has haunted you since before you took your first breath in this body, no longer needs to conceal your nature. These shamans will not seem superstitious, paranoid, or overly dramatic. They will seem prophetic because ordinary, shielded spirits do not elicit a worldwide pursuit via the spiritual underground. They do not leave senior mystics so disturbed that they abandon their trade entirely. They do not send elders who have confronted centuries-old ghosts without blinking into a frenzy. And they surely do not have guardians who roam the emptiness before the first human spark ignites the first fire. What you have is not protection as most people perceive it. It's called confinement. It's the type of cosmic power that does more than simply make you feel significant. It proves that you are important to something far larger than this earth, larger than this period, larger than human civilization itself. You are committed to a purpose that has been developed via layers of cause and effect. Every test you've suffered, every betrayal you've survived, and every unsuccessful assault has been a result of action and counteraction from the beginning. It was part of a process, a determined preparation. For a time, your true self appears. So, the next time you get the peculiar feeling that you're back, that old mind that seems to stare forth through your own eyes, remember this. Its purpose is not to protect you from the world's pain. It is here to prevent you from releasing your entire potential before the designated moment. Not because you are dangerous in the smallest sense, but because you are catalytic. When you fully embrace your being, the world around you has no choice but to follow you. And given that someone was ready to spend money, favors, and reputation to recruit shamans from radically different traditions, nations, and languages, it's evident that what you're becoming isn't far off. It's near enough for them to feel the buzz in the air. They're so close that they're anxious about finding solutions before the change. They wanted to know what protects you. They now know. And that knowledge is perhaps the most terrible thing they've ever possessed. Because injuring you is more than simply dangerous. It's a cosmic catastrophe. Your guardian isn't only watching over one person. It protects a cornerstone, an architecture of reality, an investment in a being whose advent will set off a chain reaction of changes that no person, spirit, or institution can entirely forecast or control. Here's a fact they'd prefer you never knew. You are not just under the care of something old. You are the old entity momentarily housed in human flesh, with the appearance of fragility and strength protecting you. That is not an external force. It's you in another shape and condition, holding yourself still until the exact moment the locks fall off. You come here with a reason. You promise to put on the mask of constraint and live in a lesser tale for a time. However, the shaman's accord is nearing its end. They are the canary in the cosmic coal mine, the first to notice the change in the air, the first to detect smoke before the fire spreads. They have already started notifying the covert networks. They have whispered to their trainees. They've left coded markings, engraved symbols, and locations that only the initiated can locate, since they know what they saw when they glanced at your photo. It wasn't just a straightforward horror read. It was a countdown, a big and quiet clock ticking down to zero. And in those private warnings, they withheld the whole facts from their customers. They did not dare to tell anything to the people who hired them. Because how can you let someone know they've been chasing a sleeping storm? That the person they're attempting to weaken is not only aware of them on a deep, instinctual level, but also shielded by a power that does not follow the laws of this world. How can you say that you witnessed something so massive moving under the surface of reality that it made your spirit feel like a candle next to a star? What they kept to themselves was this: the timer is no longer going slowly. It's accelerating. When it reaches zero, your guardian will no longer need to protect against anything, because it has been keeping back a part of you that you have only seen in your fantasies. In times of impossibility, knowledge will take a whole stride ahead. At that point, there will be no disguises, no half-power, and no barrier between you and your mission. And then nothing occurs. No amount of magic, politics, terror, or force will be able to put you to sleep again. The world will meet the person behind the mask. That, above all, is why the shamans are scared. They've seen enough to realize this isn't a narrative about protection. It is a narrative about breaking out from captivity. And they know that once it happens, everything changes. The shaman in Peru was a lady whose fame extended well beyond her town. A healer, clairvoyant, and guide between realms. For 4 decades, she had read for warlords and saints, politicians and paupers, and she had never lost her cool. But as she read for you, something deeply changed within her, bringing her whole life's work to an end in a single afternoon. She did not just pack up her equipment and go away. She destroyed them. She burned her most holy instruments one by one, stones polished by centuries of hands, feathers from extinct birds, and bones handed down from predecessors. Her drums, rattles, wailing, and bowls are gone. Years of craftsmanship vanished in a matter of minutes. Her kid said she was not scared. No, what she felt was futility. She informed her, "These were all toys." And now I fully understood why your guardian had displayed such a comprehensive vision. It was so overwhelming that her whole knowledge of the spiritual realm crumbled. She saw eras before the first people walked upright. There were times when creatures like you might move freely, transcending realms with the ease of stepping over a threshold and sculpting reality as if it were wet clay. She saw conflicts fought in the microscopic gaps between atoms, wars waged in secrecy, yet with enough might to move whole universes. She's seen civilizations burn into brightness and then evaporate into oblivion in the time it takes a single heart to beat. And at that instant, she realized that what walks in your human shape today is more than just protected. It is one of those entities that wears flesh as a temporary clothing. She recognized that her instruments could never reach the boundaries of that reality, much alone confine it in Ireland. The Celtic practitioner made a different discovery, but it was just as profound. She delved into the earliest of the ancient books written in a language that predates Gaelic. Preserved in damp stone rooms where only the most trusted initiates were permitted, she discovered mentions of Nafield Tawari. The returners are spirits who return again to retrieve something that was promised to them before the term promise existed. The scriptures said that their reappearances correlate with historical tipping periods, when the balance of worlds alters. When a decision is made that alters the course of everything. When she matched your spiritual signature to those old descriptions, she stopped. It was not comparable. It was not near enough. It was identical, as if the writers of those writings had seen you precisely as you are, as if you've done it. This has happened many times previously, and each time, the whole globe shook in ways historians could not understand. but it seemed like an earthquake underfoot that permanently altered the route of a river. This is the section that has been kept hidden from the public eye. Your guardian connected with some of them not via audible words or symbols, but by an indisputable transfer of knowledge that bypassed their brains and arrived directly in their bones. It informed them that they were one of many souls dispersed like seeds around the world, all safeguarded by the same ancient intellect, and gradually waking up to their actual identities. And when everyone remembers everything, when everyone ignites at the same time, the curtain between realms will not only shrink, but will disappear entirely. At that time, mankind will have to choose between evolving into something it can hardly fathom and remaining in a world that no longer belongs to it. Working silently and via back channels, the shamans started collecting what they referred to as recognition signs, the unmistakable indicators of a soul with your kind of protection. For starters, when you're emotional, gadgets act up around you. Not at random. Glitches are deliberate, almost intelligent malfunctions. Lights flash and loop in patterns that resemble coded signals. Phones are shown. Text you never typed. Screens change into patterns that resemble messages in a language you nearly recall. Cameras in your presence record shapes, flares, and figures that should not exist. Shadows appear when none should exist. Light when there should be dark. Machines seem to nearly comprehend you, as if they are taking up a signal that they cannot completely decipher. Second, animals react to you based on recognition rather than instinct. Dogs gaze uncomfortably long, as if they are observing you, not the body you are in. Cats send you unusual gifts, not prey, but bizarre small objects, as if they discovered something in the middle and thought it belonged to you. Birds follow your movements, flying in formation, above, or perched nearby as if maintaining a quiet watch. According to the shamans, animals perceive in wavelengths and spectrums that humans do not. And in those concealed bands of light, your full form emerges. Third, you manipulate probability itself. Shamans referred to this phenomenon as quantum reality bending. Coincidences have a stronger hold on you than mathematics. People you think about suddenly reach out. Opportunities present themselves without your actively seeking them. Entire scenario lines reorganize themselves to eliminate barriers in your way. Outsiders call it luck. The shamans know better. Your guardian is tweaking the slightest factors to ensure that you reach precisely where you should be at the right time. This is not how the universe works for you. This is the universe interacting with you. Because at some level, it is precisely who you are. An expression of it, compacted into a transitory human form. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the development of my faith. Please help me trust you, even when tangible proof is scarce. Let me believe in your eternal presence, knowing that you will never hurt me. I realize that your thoughts for me are positive and not negative. Give me a big thank you, lovely and everlasting Father, for constantly hearing my voice. I give this prayer to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provisions. I am thankful for your presence in my life and the richness you provide. If this video spoke to you, please subscribe to the channel and share it with others who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your trip and how you're getting ready for your own victorious homecoming. If you would want to help us out, please consider donating via Buy Me a Coffee. This allows us to consistently improve our content in order to provide you with the best possible experience. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No present is too tiny. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity spreads God's message and gives people hope. Do not stop here. Watch our next video for amazing insights into the indications that indicate you are the chosen one. We've loved sharing this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for sticking with us until the finish. Keep shining brightly and face your fate with confidence. See you next time. Enlightened knowledge bestows blessings to all lovely individuals.